So somebody would get to that place, you design their plan. What happens next?
So I have basically a spec book, and I go room by room and start detailing out, what kind of trim we want in there, if there's plumbing in there, what we're doing plumbing wise, all the different aspects of each room. And I don't go to the detail of, what color do you want here, what type of faucet you want here, this and the other. But just this is what's going to be in this room, And so I go through all of that process with them, figure out, sometimes people have an idea of what they want to budget for, whether they want to put in 10,000, 20,000, 15,000 for lights.
They've shopped some fixtures.
Yeah,
they know what
right.
fixtures cost. They've shopped cabinets. They know what cabinets cost.
And so I kind of lean on them a little bit about how much do you want to spend on these items, and kind of give them some directions of what I typically spend on those items for a house of whatever magnitude we're building, and go from there. And once that's done, it's just a matter of getting the contract ready, getting a price ready, and go with it. Price wise, sometimes that can be tricky. I had a couple one time. I said when we were doing the plan, I said, just tell me what size. They had no idea what they wanted style-wise, no idea floor plan, nothing. Had to come up completely from scratch. And they said, I said, well, give me an idea of what room sizes you want. And they were thinking somewhere around a 4,000 square foot house. So they gave me the room sizes, and I'm doing everything and putting it on the computer, and it ended up being about 5,600 square feet. So I went back to them and said, well, we're a little high on square footage. But they ended up with that's what we want. So they ended up building it anyway. But they didn't have a clue as to how much something like that would cost because they just, no idea concept of space and this, that, and the other. And so when it got to price, you kind of have to, sometimes you're a bearer of bad news, sometimes not, but
it's just a part of the process. So really,
it's part of the process, and some people will just they'll cut back on things. My favorite is what if I cut that bedroom out? That should cut X amount of dollars per square foot out.
Yeah,
and
they've calculated the total square footage and the cost per square footage, and
they have no idea that a square foot price to me is. Doesn't even matter.
No,
because
it's just a figure that you can do some division at the end of the job. It doesn't represent
exactly. And on my contracts, I base, I basically draw out how many square feet's in it in different aspects of the house, how much per square foot, it is total square footage with storage, garage, and everything, and then how much it is for heated square footage, and I give that breakdown because people they don't understand. What that actually means. I mean, a bedroom, per square foot is not the same as a bathroom
or kitchen.
Yeah. Well,
it's not that way.
Right. And even to that same extent, it's probably cheaper to finish a bedroom with carpet and drywall than it is a porch with flagstone.
Right.
Yeah.
Or Trex.
For that matter, that's right.
Yeah, so, a lot of times people take that heated square footage, and that's what the number they're working off of, and it doesn't take into consideration the porches or how much garage space or whatever. So
if you've got a wraparound porch on a house,
it's going to be expensive. So
it can be quite expensive.
So in this process, is it? We talk to a lot of real estate agents. Kind of, is it good to have a real estate? Is it good for a client that's wanting to build a custom home to have a real estate agent in the process?
I think so, especially in the upfront part. I think real estate agents are more privy to contracts than the normal public, so they're more apt to catch things that might be wrong with the contract or whatever. In a lot of cases, I've had the real estate agents actually help the clients with selections and speeding up the process in that manner. Because, a lot of people they don't really have a direction. They know what they like when they see it. but there's so many choices out there, and they kind of get overwhelmed. And so having someone to kind of guide them and tell them, okay, by this date, you really need to have this picked out. That helps a lot. Now, I can't say that all agents do that,
right?
But that is probably one of the biggest benefits to having one that I've seen. You know.
So some agents have more experience with that. They've been through the process. They're going to be more helpful during that process. But let's take a younger agent that's coming in that wants to learn. Do you think is this a process that can be learned?
Definitely.
Yeah.
But it is definitely a learning process.
Sure.
Yeah. So, you know, for a new agent, I guess it really depends on their background, you know, and where they come from.
Yeah, maybe they've gone through a building process.
They maybe have gone through a building process. They might have experience in, you know, design. You know, maybe, you know, to be able to help the client in those aspects. I don't know. It's kind of.
So maybe this is something that we could talk about in the future. Maybe we could kind of put together some information that would be helpful to newer agents to help them be.
I will say that that is the one thing that I would have to say. If you're able to take your client through the process and be there with them through the process, that's going to go a lot further as an agent in your reputation. Because I've heard all the stories about my agent came to closing, my agent showed up at the end, and I never saw him in between.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's just not being a good agent. I mean, it's just
not being helpful to the process.
Not being helpful. Not helping the client. And some clients don't even need the help, and that's fine too. But you know, to check in every once in a while is not a bad thing.
I think people have agents be a part of this process. Usually they're asking for that because they do want some help. And even if the agent, so, you know, thinking if you're a realtor and you're thinking, you know, I have a client that wants to do this, or I'd like to work with clients doing this, even if you're not a design professional, going with them and helping them in this process, just being an extra voice, an extra opinion, helps people. You know, I've seen a lot of houses. This is a kind of a popular look right now. If you're something, you know, you may not be in for more than 4 or 5 years, maybe stick. This is a good, safe choice you can feel good about.
Yeah, or, you know what's trending.
Yeah.
You know, and kind of steer them in that direction. You know?
Exactly. So there's a lot of places, you know, sometimes just being that moral support can be so valuable. Most people that are going through the building process don't have a professional designer that stays with them the whole time. I'm sure you work with some who do.
Yeah.
But, you know, not everybody has that. They don't have a, you know, assistant who's just, you know, helping them through the process. So I think that could be a big thing.
Breaking it down, organizing it, you know, just,
If there was something, so just to kind of, you know, wrapping this agent concept up, if there was something, what can agents do with their clients before they call you? What should they be thinking about having checked off?
Probably expectations of budget, for one. You know, most agents always get people pre-qualified and all that stuff, but having kind of an expectation of what new construction budgeting is going to be like versus something that's already existing, because new construction right now is, depending on the house, is going to be more expensive than something that was built 15 years ago. You know, and so kind of getting people prepared for that.
Yeah.
You know, any information about the process that the agent already knows, is already privy to, educating the buyer about that. You know, whether it's the loan process or, you know, because a lot of people that I build custom homes for get their own loan, but they don't have a clue how that process starts. And a lot of agents know, okay, you go to this guy, you know, this broker or a loan officer, whatever, you know, and you're getting a construction perm loan. And so educating them on the process of that is paramount.
We are going live on Tuesdays or Thursdays at 12:30 at lunchtime to make it easy to tune in when you have a nice lunch break. We're on Facebook at The Closing Guys, on Instagram at Brad The Closing Guy, and on Twitter, Closing Guys. And we'll have all that information below the video. So thanks for watching today, and we'll be back next week.